What's up, guys? This is Corey with the Dirty Gem, back with another video for y'all. So today we're me taking a look at some more blue-yellow. So today we're covering, this is actually the first time I've ever covered a Janemba deck on the channel. I've tried to avoid it as much as possible. Before, whenever it was like as super popular as it was and everything like that, I just really wasn't a fan of it. I wanted to try to always play decks that weren't Janemba and everything like that, but I think now that we're in a format where it's not as dominant as it was in the past, it's now more reasonable to play Janemba. It's now more reasonable to play against Janemba. I think it's way more fair now. People have kind of learned how to play around it and different things like that. So I kind of now want to get into Janemba, and there's some stuff that I think make the deck pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and get on over into the list. Alright, so first up we've got our leader Janemba, and on his backside he's Relentless Speed Janemba. He's a permanent. You can't include cards with energy cost of 5 or more in your deck. Auto, whenever this card attacks, draw 1 card, then place 2 cards from the top of your deck in your opponent's drop area, and then he is an untap 2 whenever he flips. And then on his backside, whenever he attacks, draw 1 card, place 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck in the drop area, and then auto, whenever this card is attacked, you may place 1 blue card from your hand in your drop area. If you do, negate the attack and negate the skill for the duration of the game, so he has a really nice built-in negate, which makes it really strong. Obviously, Janemba's mill. It is the dominant mill leader in the game. It's really the main mill leader, or the leader of the archetype and everything like that. So let's go ahead and get on into the list. So first up, we've got 4 Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Gokus, a 4-drop, 2 red, 20k. What's relevant for us is has an auto whenever a card evolves into this card, or if you combo with this card, draw 1 card, and it's a 110k. Janemba is trying to be like incredibly defensive, and so this is just a great way. It's effectively like a pseudo super combo. You just pay 1 plus 10k, draw a card, which is really nice for defense. Next up we have 2 Awakening Talent Pan, so it's a 1-drop 1 blue 5k auto whenever this card attacks. You may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do so, this card gains plus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn, and then auto at the end of your turn, return this card to its owner's hand. So this is really nice self-awakening in situations where we absolutely need it. You don't need like an absolute ton of these because they just return to your hand, so every turn you can start playing one of these. Swing, take the life, end of the turn, bounce it back to your hand as long as it doesn't get KO'd or something like that. So it's really great self-awakening. There aren't like 100 of like opportunities where we absolutely feel like we have to awaken with Janemba, but whenever those situations come up, but we do, Awakening Talent Pan is a pretty great way to do it. Next up, we've got 4 Beers to Fickle God. It is a 2-drop 1 blue 1 yellow, 15k. And then permanent, if there's a card that is both blue and yellow in your energy area other than this card, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. And then auto, whenever you play this card, draw 1 card. This is strictly an energy card. We're ideally charging this turn 1, and then later in the game charging this, and now it doesn't have to come and play in rest mode. We don't have like a ton of turn 1, turn 2 plays, so this is really kind of a great way to get something going on turn 2. If we absolutely need to, or even turn 1. There are a couple things that we need multicolored cards for. Then there's a couple things that need a yellow energy in the deck, so this is kind of a great way to get both of those in 1 card. We're not like super yellow heavy in the deck, so this is really our main source of yellow energy. Next up we have 1 Unyielding Spirit Chunks. It's a 2-drop 1 blue, 10k. Auto, during your turn, when you combo with this card, if your leader card is blue, choose up one of your energy and switch it to active mode. This is just a great way to kind of extend our plays, or leave energy open whenever we go into our opponent's turn, so we have energy to defend. We can kind of pressure our opponent, getting different things out in the same turn. So all in all, a really strong card. You can only run 1 of these. So I feel like if you have access to it being a blue leader, you might as well. Next up we have 3 Childish Heart Janemba. It's a 3-drop 3 blue. It's a 19k barrier, evolve for 2 blue over a Psyche Demon, which we're not running the Psyche Demon in this list. Then activate main for 1 blue. Choose the 1 Janemba card from your deck and send it to your warp. Then shuffle your deck and place this card at the bottom of its owner's deck. Then choose up to 1 Janemba card with an energy cost of 4 from your warp and play it. So with this, we're putting in the Janemba Agent of Destructions, or the Demon Sword Janembas, we're putting them in the warp, and then using this, bringing them back into play. So we're kind of going 2 for 1. We can swing with a 19k barrier, then activate its ability, then bring in like a 20k that has crit and then has mill effects. So a pretty solid card for the deck. Also, the fact that it's a 19k barrier is really annoying. A lot of these kind of counter plays have a hard time dealing with this, with the exception of like a Denial of Hope or like a Preemptive Strike. They can just straight up get rid of this, but you're looking at things like Vegeta the Cruel or Mach Speed Kaioken Goku. They can't target this Janemba, so it's a really kind of a safe target to play it and then kind of swing in and then do all this stuff. Next up, we've got 3 Undying Spirits and Gohan. It's a 3-drop, 1 blue, 15k counterplay. Play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes a 2-drop. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 4 or less and return it to its owner's hand. Then, if it's your opponent's turn, choose up one of your blue energy and switch it to active mode. This is one of the really better counterplays in the game, especially if we have access to it. We can play this, bounce a threat back to our opponent's hand, then we get to untap an energy, so it effectively costs 1 on our opponent's turn, which is really, really nice, leaves us energy open to play other counterplays or this, that, and another, and then coming back in our turn, it has a 15k beater that can swing in. Generally, we're going after battle cards, so we don't want to really awaken our opponent and give them cards and things like that, so it's a nice way to go about that. Next up, we have 3 Demon Sword Janemba. It's a 4-drop 2 blue, 20k, critical deflect, activate main, place this card at the bottom of its owner's deck, then choose up one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to its owner's warp, and place 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck in their drop area. So this serves a couple different purposes for us. It is removal, because we're just able to just generically remove anything that doesn't have barrier. Then it has critical, which is nice, so we can swing in for a 20k crit, which is really, really nice. And then finally, it's more mill for us. We're not going like super heavy on the Janemba chain itself. We're utilizing more of our leader ability to do majority of our milling for us, but having access to even more mill where we can is nice. Next up, we have 3 Janemba Agent of Destruction. It's a 4-drop 2 blue, 20k critical. Auto activate this skill whenever you play this card from your hand or warp. At the end of that turn, if it's your turn, choose up one of your energy and switch it to active mode, and then activate main, send this card to its owner's warp. Draw 1 card, then your opponent places 3 cards from the top of their deck in their drop area. So again, this is just more mill. If we play this off the Childish Heart, then we're able to untap an energy at the end of the turn, and then now he's a 20k critical, and then we just warp him, and then we're sending 3 cards from our opponent's deck into the drop area, so it's even of a deeper mill than the Demon Sword or the leader, so we can kind of go for like 5 a turn as opposed to traditional 2 to 4, which can kind of mess up some counts and is actually really nice. Being a 20k crit is good as well, just all around very solid card. Next up, we've got 1 Reality Bender Janemba. It's a 4-drop 1 blue, critical, deflect, 20k. Permanent, if your opponent has 4 more energy, there are battle cards in your opponent's battle area, and there are no battle cards in your battle area. Reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 3. So we could just hard cast this for 1, which is typically what we're trying to do, as opposed to like with the Childish Heart, sitting under the warp and bringing it into play. Like extreme situations, you could do that, but generally just because we can play this for 1, that's what we're wanting to do. And then auto at the end of your turn, place this card at the bottom of its owner's deck, and then choose 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck and put them in the drop area. So again, it's more mill. This doesn't go to the warp, this goes to the bottom of the deck, so we're able to like get it back later. So pretty cool effects there. Next up, we've got 4 Infernal Melanie Cell. This is identical to the Unbreakable Super Saiyan Son Goku. It's a 1-drop 10k that draws us a card whenever we combo, so just really great defense. Next up, we have 3 Champa the Trickster. It's a 3-drop, 1 yellow, 15k counterplay. Play this card. Permanent, if a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it's a 2-drop. And then auto, whenever you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, switch it to rest mode, then draw 1 card if it's your opponent's turn. So similar to the Undying Spirit Son Gohan, this is a great counterplay for us. We play this, we put something in barrier and rest mode, that's a threat we don't have to deal with. You're looking at things like Kaiokens, or even like Gogeta 7, different things like just big bombs we don't want to have to mess with. Champa comes in, taps it down, and we get to draw a card, and now we have a 15k beater on our turn, which is nice. Next up, we have 2 Kami Global Unifier. It's a 1-drop black card, 3k, deflect, auto, whenever you play this card, draw a card, and then activate main for 2. Your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play. Choose all of your and your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 4 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO them. This is just a great board wipe for Janemba. A lot of people like to really try to go aggro or go wide strategies versus Janemba. And Kami, so effectively your 3 energy, draws us a card and blows up the board, which is really, really nice for us. And then finally for the battle cards, we've got 2 Supreme Kai of Time, Light's Guide. It's a 3-drop black card, 15k, overwhelm for 3 for free. Auto, whenever you play this card using overwhelm, if your leader card is red or blue, choose your leader card and gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Then draw 1 card. So this makes our leader a 15k on the front and a 20k on the back, plus we get to draw, and then we have a 15k body that can swing in to attack battle cards, or we can combo with it, whatever we need to do, because there's really great synergy there. The draw is really nice, and then giving our leader a buff is really good as well. Moving into our super combo, we're playing 4 of the North Kai Keeping Watch. This is just if our life is a 4 or less super combo, it's always a 0-10k, which is nice. Moving on to the extra cards, we're running 4 Dimension Magic, just your standard negate. It's a Sparking 5, and then whenever we play this, choose up the 2 of your blue energy and switch them to active mode. This really lets us get like super defensive on our opponent's turn if he plays the Sparking. You can play it for free, then untap 2 blue energy. Now you have blue energy to defend. This lets us untap the Beerus the Fickle God because it counts as blue, so it gives us access to yellow. Just all around really solid negate. One of the better Sparking negates in the game. Next up, we've got 4 Sensu Beans, so 1 drop, 1 blue. Activate battle, choose up to 1 of your cards. It gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn, and then choose up to 2 of your energy and switch to active mode. Again, just really great defensive. This can also be used offensively if we need to like really extend our turn, untap more energy so we have more plays for the turn, but typically speaking, we're using this defensively. It really makes our Janemba bulky and really hard to deal with. And then finally, we're running 3 Frost Deadly Poison. It is a 3 drop, 1 blue, 1 yellow. Counterplay, the battle card your opponent is playing is played in rest mode with its skills negated for the duration of the turn. Then draw 1 card, then if your life is at 3 or less, choose up to 1 of your blue or yellow energy and then switch to active mode. So on our opponent's turn, if we're at 3 or less life, this becomes a 2 drop. It's effectively a Cold Bloodlust, a Crusher Ball, and it draws us a card, so really great. With Janemba, typically speaking, we're having a lot of energy open to use defensively, and so we have access to play something expensive like this, like as a Frost Deadly Poison for 3. Which really works really well for what we're trying to do. You know, they're playing like a big bomb, like maybe like a chain attack into something. You can just go Deadly Poison into the chain attack and stop all that from happening, like forcing hits. You can just stop all that stuff from happening. Just really great ability to have that. A Cold Bloodlust type effect is always very strong. Obviously, it doesn't interact with Deflect, but there's a lot of stuff in the game that this still deals with. And being able to rest mode it as well as negate its skills is very good for us, because then on our turn we can just try to kill it and we don't have to deal with it, and then plus the draw is nice. So all in all, just a very solid card if you have the energy for it. But anyway, that is the overall deck. Really what we're trying to do is we're not putting as much of an emphasis on the Janemba chain as we mentioned earlier. We're mainly using our leader ability to swing and mill, and then we have the additional mills where we need them, but they're not really like a high priority for us. This is really stopping our opponent from doing stuff on their turn, whether we're defending or we're tapping stuff down or we're putting stuff back in their hand. Just really being incredibly defensive there, and then on our turn just milling stuff out. We've got the demon swords to warp things, we've got critical swings which are nice, and then we're just milling as much as we can. Eventually it starts to add up. Like we mentioned earlier, there are way more ways in the game currently to get around Janemba. People are a lot more used to playing Janemba. You have to be a pretty good Janemba player now in order to do well. It's not like before where you could just kind of sleeve up Janemba and go do well just because you milled things and your opponent couldn't stop you. There's a lot more interaction with the game now where they can kind of deal with your stuff, but if you're fairly good with the deck and you understand what the deck's trying to do, there's a lot of different avenues you can go with, especially now that we have the option to run all these multicolor like counterplay defensive cards and things like that. But anyway guys, that is it, and we will see y'all next time.